Hey everyone, welcome to my kitchen. I am Kimberly Knox and you're in the kitchen with KK. So welcome back to all the people that have been following me. And if you're new, I hope you stay to the end because we're going to have a delicious cookie after all of this. And you're going to learn a lot of things along the way. So I'm an integrative and functional health coach with a passion for getting people back into the kitchen where they can positively influence their health because over 90% of disease today is directly related to diet and lifestyle, more food related than anything else. So we are able to positively contribute to our vitality, to our cellular health, just by making some adjustments in the kitchen. Now, baking, super fun. That's really where I started my cooking adventure from the time I always say that I've been cooking since I was 3. As long as I can remember, I've been making cookies for my brothers, my father, my grammar school friends, and snickerdoodles were one of my very favorites. So I've written a cookbook, Simple Cooking for Vitality. It removes gluten and dairy from everything, and that's how I live my life. We have so many contributors today to gut inflammation, and all the gastrointestinal diseases are the most prevalent out there, even though diabetes is the most expensive, although all these conventional type of baked goods will contribute to that as well. So listen up, we need our treats, but we need our treats to be better for us because yes, any cookie or treat tastes good going down, but as soon as it gets into the body, it starts creating disaster and not just inflammation. It creates gut permeability and beyond. So today is December the 4th and happy holidays. I'm very festive. I've been festive for a long time, I hope. If you do celebrate Christmas, I've already got my tree up, listen to holiday music all the time. So that brightens the mood, but we need our energy during this time. And we're going to be talking about gluten because it's National Gluten-Free Baking Week, the week before Christmas. And this is also Crohn's and Colitis Awareness Month. Crohn's and colitis, what is that? It's inflammation of the gut, either the small or the large intestine. So much is going on. Now, we know that we run ragged during the holidays. So this heightened energy also is not calming for our digestion, calming for our elimination. We have to take these into consideration. But you're going to be going to cookie swaps. You're going to be going to friends' house. So make something that you can be proud of, that you can eat with joy and not feel guilty and not feel sick. Because gluten is a poison to everyone. Yes, gluten is a poison to everyone today. We really didn't know the effects until 2010. When I was in school, I went back to school to be a functional and integrative health coach, and I took my knowledge that I had started in health and my interest from 93 and escalated that. But this is when we all started learning about gluten, but it still didn't settle in. We thought you had to be celiac to avoid gluten. And gluten is in so many things: cakes, cookies, pastas, brownies, your bagels, your breads, everything. We had to change the way we thought about eating, what we normally buy. And it even took me some time because I've been baking for years for my clients and baking at the holidays to adjust how I bake. So today we're going to explore that. And I want you to explore and to feel confident. And that's my mission here, is to get people back into the kitchen where you can contribute to your health, because 90% of disease is related to what we're doing, our diet and lifestyle every single day. So some people know about gluten, the bloating, the brain fog, the fatigue, the rashes. Now, all the stuff that we don't like: gas, diarrhea, constipation, bloating. No one wants that. That's why it's super uncomfortable to have anything go wrong with your gut. And we don't want to contribute to it. So we do have to have alternatives. And we also have to have a way to treat and reward ourselves, because we were brought up. And what's better than a beautiful cookie with some espresso or some coffee or a beautiful tea is what I love. And that's what we're going to do today. So there's many different gluten-free flours, and you've seen me use almond flour quite often, even tiger nut flour. Today we're going to be using cassava and I am using a certified 100% glyphosate-free oat. And I do not buy oat flour because I don't trust it. I show you how you can make your own. It's going to be super easy. I've even experimented with hazelnut flour and also chestnut flour, which is an alkaline nut, one of the few next to almond. So very interesting, right? And we need to just be aware of this because even Hashimoto's is related to gluten, okay? And we just don't want everything going wrong. So we're going to explore a lot of different things today. We're also not using eggs. We're also going to cut down the oil. Not that there's anything wrong, but you can cut it down. We're going to be using applesauce, perfect. And we're using some of the most amazing spices for the holidays. So let's get started. I'm going to show you how to break down oats. We need, we're going to use a cup of oats that are ground up. Now, in my food processor, you've seen me make the muffins, the very simple 5-ingredient muffins with no added sugar, no eggs, no oil. And my clients love them. I make them in many different varieties. I've even made a strawberry banana one now. The blueberry chocolate chip is popular. The banana walnut. So I'm adding this to my blender. What I love about this NutriBullet RX is that the blade comes off. And now what the oats will do to this is going to give it more protein. It's going to give it more substance for your body, not just a quick glucose spike. That's what a lot of cookies do. And that's what we don't want. And so let's get this to the side. But that oats is the 1 degree. Farmers, we know that is the 1 degree brand. And so that is the only one that I will buy. Do not buy the oat flour, like I said. So let's get the top on. And in 15 seconds, you've got oat flour. So that is perfect. That's been 15 seconds. And now you can just check if you have big pieces. It's all right to have a little texture. That's it. That's all we needed this for. So I'm putting all the dry ingredients into this bowl. We're going to add them to the wet ingredients. So that is the oat flour done up. Okay, let's get this to the side since we don't need this anymore. We're also going to be using cassava. All right, so cassava flour, actually more fiber, more nutrients than rice flour. Rice flour has a straight line of glucose spike. Well, think about rice. You know, rice is one thing that you want to cut if you're watching type 2 diabetes or keeping those carb loads down. So cassava is going to have some carbs, more than your almond flour, but I wanted to show you how to make cookies a little bit different. And we are using arrowroot as well. So we're using 1/3 of a cup here. Not a third, sorry, 3/4 of a cup. Now, cassava flour is very fine, whereas the almond flour, sometimes you've seen me use a fork to break out any of the small chunks. Okay, so far we've got 3/4 of a cup of cassava. Now we're going to add 1/2 cup of arrowroot. Arrowroot's going to hold this all together. It's going to firm it up. I want a crispy cookie. And well, we've got enough moisture going in there with applesauce and everything else. So this is arrowroot. I use Bob's Red Mill fine arrowroot. Anytime you use almond flour, the arrowroot is very helpful for binding it together because it's a nut. Very low carb though. So those are beautiful things when you make cookies with the almond flour. So those are out of the way now. For baking soda, we're going to use 1/2 teaspoon and a little bit of sea salt. Okay. I'm just going to measure it in my. So older recipes would use probably a half a teaspoon for a cookie recipe. I've cut it back a little bit. So baking soda has a lot of leavening, more than baking powder, which also has the acid in there. This will react with some of the acids that are in the stuff like applesauce. So now let's get the wet ingredients in there. So I'm increasing molasses and we're cutting back. I'm not putting any other sugars in there. Here, I'm gonna full half a cup. I'm putting a half a cup of molasses in. All right, we're gonna be using coconut oil as well. It's good to have these little spatulas. They just help you clean out your measuring cups. I prefer a metal measuring cup. Why? Because you can put this right onto the stove and warm up something that you might need for a recipe, or melting some grass-fed butter for your popcorn. And so let's get some applesauce in there. We're using a 1/4 cup of, this is a cinnamon applesauce, unsweetened, organic. So that's important because apples are on the Dirty Dozen list. They have been there for a while. So let's get a nice 1/4 cup. So applesauce can be used in recipes 1-for-1 in replacing oil. So pretty cool. We'll get this in here. We also get more nutrients, more fiber, which is fantastic. Okay. Put this to the side. Let me grab my coconut oil. You've seen the brand. This brand, Nutiva, I prefer this for my baking and my cooking. It is the preferred brand. When you try it, you will understand what I'm saying. It was referred to me years ago by a chef, and it is here. I tried to, it was getting a little too warm. So it was melted. Now, here. A 1/4 cup. What's going to make this amazing? I can already smell the amazingness, and that comes from the molasses. It just reminds you of holiday, of taffy pulls, of everything great. It's really good at this time of the year to put a little unsulfured molasses maybe on your, I make a teff porridge, I make a millet porridge, you can make steel cut oats. Have some of that with fresh berries, especially when it's cold out. It makes your body feel great after a really long walk. Make sure you're exercising first thing in the morning. Burn off all that stored glycogen. And that's really helpful to your body's natural state of being able to utilize the glucose that comes in, okay? We really need to work as a nation on repairing metabolism. That is one of my goals for my clients. My metabolism wasn't doing so well either. And the start of fatty liver can come on very easily. You can be a skinny fat. And you need to get that under control, because a fatty liver does not work. It does not metabolize well. It doesn't do its methylation that well. We're using a teaspoon of vanilla here. This is pure Madagascar vanilla. All the baking stuff is on sale this time of the year, so stock up when it's $5 off, because it's worth it. It's just a brilliant, strong, amazing. So we always do the liquid stuff first and then add in. When I used to cook with butter and sugar, I mean, you would cream it all. And let me just, I'm going here from memory. So is there anything else that I'm adding to this? No, we've got the molasses. So let's put this to the side. Let's get all the yummy spices in here. So like I said, now these are ginger snaps. So I'm putting in 2 teaspoons because I like a really rich smell of the ginger. This is a half teaspoon. It fits nicely down into the jar. So we need 4 of these. Now, sometimes not a lot of people use cardamom, but we're going to be putting in some here. If you smell it, it's really bright. It's a little lemony. It's really interesting. We want at least a quarter teaspoon of that in there. And then cloves. Cloves, fantastic for the holidays. It's really going to give it that richness that you want. Get a nice quarter teaspoon of that in there. Ceylon cinnamon, powerful, incredible. Make sure you stock up on this when it's on sale. Put it in your area where you're making your coffee and other. I'm putting in a nice rounded teaspoon of cinnamon. So I'm being generous on the spice, and also nutmeg. Let's get in a quarter teaspoon of the nutmeg. So it's very heavy, obviously, on the ginger, since these are Gingerdoodles, but the other spices give it a real great full body flavor. We've got all of that added. I like to use a fork just to toss this all around. I no longer sift my flours. These are fine just like this, and we're going to put that right into the dry ingredients. Now these cookies are going to be rolled, and they're going to be rolled in a little bit of cinnamon and sugar. So that's kind of like the snickerdoodle part of it, because snickerdoodles, the flavor comes from that cream of tartar, and then you roll them in sugar. And I'm just trying to see if I forgot anything here as I'm talking and educating. And no, I don't think so. So let's get some of this in here. And we got the baking soda already correct. Yeah. I'm going to put in about half and give it a turn. Cookies are quick. Cookies are fun. And you can freeze them. I keep my refrigerator and freezer filled. So you just freeze them. They stay better. They're not too cold to eat. They're perfect. And you can just put them on a beautiful plate. I have a gorgeous red plate from Le Creuset that I use every year. Actually, I use it year round because I love it so much. So I've changed this recipe on the fly. So let's just see if these quantities are going to be adequate. We want to absorb that moisture and make these a cookie that is nice and firm, soft on the inside, crispy on the outside. I think this is pretty good, actually. Cassava is a pretty sturdy flour when it comes to making stiffness. And of course, we have the arrowroot in there as well. Beautiful. If you could only smell this, all of your senses would just explode. I'm going to tidy up. We're going to put this into the refrigerator to get nice and chilled while I tidy up, and we're going to turn it into balls and roll it and bake it. So quick and easy. Thanks for tuning in, and stay till the end so you can see these yummy cookies. And now the fun begins. You go ahead and you can taste that dough. There's no raw egg issues we used to be afraid of. The dough is perfect to roll into balls. What we're going to do for the sugar is we're taking raw coconut sugar. So I buy the organic brown coconut sugar. Coconut sugar, if you've heard me talk about it, it is a lower glycemic, higher nutrient mineral content. A third of a cup probably should do it for rolling all of this. And we want to shake a generous amount. Cinnamon on there. I'm just going to knock out some of these little bumps and clumps of the sugar. Okay, so we're ready for our assembly line. And I'm going to do a few, and then I'll come back when they're all done. So they're perfect. No, nothing's getting all over your hands. So you're just going to roll them around in the sugar. And if you use a spoon like this, you can kind of gauge the same size for each one, which is nice. Okay. You don't have to roll them hard, just lightly like this. You can put up to 3 in the bowl easily. These prep bowls work really well for this, or you can use a glass, like cereal type of a bowl. So I'm going to go ahead and put as many on here as possible. The oven is on 350. And then we're going to put them in, and I believe about 11 minutes, I'm going to check them. And we will be back with cookies that are ready to devour. In no time, we have cookies. This is a Le Creuset cookie sheet. I love it. And this is parchment paper. You must have parchment paper in your toolbox. And this is about the spacing. That would be good. We got 16 cookies on here. This is fantastic. Hey, we'll be back in 11 minutes to check these out. Let's grab these out. Ooh, they are cute. They smell so good. Check these out. Super adorable, right? I didn't want them to spread too much. These are going to be fantastic. What I love about this pan is that quickly you can just let these cool right on the granite countertop. I don't prefer countertops that you cannot use functionally, and I love stone. So this is a container that I keep my cookies in, and I'm going to be going to a cookie exchange. So I hope you learned something here. These smell so good. This recipe makes 24. I've got 6 more to cook in there. And I cooked them for about 12 minutes, not 11. And but I just need you to understand that desserts and treats, they're part of who we are. We need to make changes. I need you to get just creative and bold and get in the kitchen and try out a recipe, even if you just have one up your sleeve. But I've got so many of them because everything I do is gluten-free, from snickerdoodles to chocolate chip cookies to jam thumbprint, which is a video that if you love this one, you're going to love the next one. So I'll post that. But we do not want autoimmune diseases. We do not want leaky gut. We do not want to contribute to problems in our body when they can be easily avoided with making some changes. And these cookies are delicious. Okay, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in today and exploring a National Gluten-Free Baking Week, National Cookie Day, and awareness around gut health. I'm Kimberly Knox, so thanks for tuning in, guys.